Episode for Family is just one of them shows I've never really taken that seriously. I've always just kind of treated it as something to watch. It's never really made me look at it like a Rick and Morty or a BoJack Horseman, where things are just layered and it could be studied. Where some episodes you could feel the creators trying to do new things and just push new boundaries. It wasn't that for me. Episode for Family was just a simple show, and that was the beauty of it. It was digestible, easy to watch. I can still enjoy those shows that don't have much layers or go that deep. It's just made to entertain, maybe get a laugh, and this show has definitely made me laugh in the past. So, kind of going into season 4, I was kind of expecting the same thing. Just more stuff of Frank shouting at the kids while having certain situations thrown at them.
Then I'll take you home after your auditions. Then I'll probably have to bail you out of jail for getting your arm stuck in a gumball machine you're trying to rob, you fucking moron, because that is what a good father does!
But surprisingly, this season actually went a little more deeper. Nah, just a lot more deeper, really. Look, man, I'm just gonna come out with it. F is for Family Season 4 could be the best season for F is for Family. It's a great season, but is there flaws? And it stops it from being completely great, but I'm gonna get into that later. So, let's get into it, man. This is a review of Season 4 for F is for Family. F is for Family Season 4 really caught my attention straight from the beginning. When Frank mentions his dad's in town and he just isn't happy about it, I kind of knew this season really was going to be enjoyable by the story. And the main reason why this season is so great is because of the story. It's just done really well, and for the first time in the series, we see all the main characters put through some real difficult situations, which brings out a different side to the characters. Probably just except for Sue, but we'll get to that later. But let's just get into Frank for now. Frank this season is just extremely well executed. So the ace story of the scene is that Frank's dad pops out of nowhere, and Frank hates this because he believes his dad is just a complete arsehole by the way he was treated as a child. And nobody believed Frank, because when his dad did pop up, he seemed like a really nice, genuine dude. And everyone kind of looked at Frank crazy because of it. And I think one of the critiques for the story season could be it's kind of predictable, because even though we knew Frank's dad would eventually break his good guy character, it still kept us on edge because we as the audience didn't know whether Frank's dad was doing it on purpose, if he was coming to ruin his kid's life even more, or if it was just a thing where he just lived in denial. And as a few episodes passed, we saw the truth of the character, and yes, like I said, the story may be predictable, but to some extent, it's just extremely well executed. The show almost seems self-aware at times. We even see more layers added to Frank's character. Frank was honestly great this season. We saw Frank cry so much this season, which is the best thing they probably could have done because I always saw Frank as the funny guy who just shouts. He was just the main character who the story revolved around. And maybe season 2 you saw him go through some tough situations, but for me it just wasn't enough for me to be filled as bad as I did for him in season 4. We start to see like the psyche of Frank, why he's so aggressive, why he's so high-tempered. We see what his childhood was like and what was missing. And when he did finally get what was missing, the attaboy he always wanted from his father, we see how it affects his character.
The family hug you sick. Oh shit.
And I mentioned before, the season just seems self-aware, especially Sue. Even though Sue wasn't really at the front lines this season, she kind of kept all the characters grounded at the time. But her role was very much pushed to the back, which is kind of disappointing because she took the role and took the main in season 3. But I'd love to get a few one's perspective of what they thought of Sue this season. Maybe they would have found her relatable, but for me, she was used more as a plot device at times, and when she was on screen, the characters around her outshined her because they were just way more interesting than she was. We even saw the rest of the family go through some more trials and tribulations. Bill actually becomes popular for a moment by beating kids up in the hockey match, but even Bill gets put in an uncomfortable situation towards the end of the season. I won't go much into it, but his response to the situations really showed how much of a good kid Bill is. And it just made me realize that he just takes more from his mother. Taken from his father is Kevin. Kevin got himself a new girl, and we see Kevin's character change for the better. He basically becomes a simp, basically. But nah, in all seriousness, he gets himself a cute girl, and it works out pretty well for Kevin. We see him having to pick between a friend and to pleasing his girl at some point, and the season puts him through some uncomfortable situations. And once again, we see the good in him, and it kind of shows that he takes more from his father at some moments, which I think was pretty cool. And that's honestly the beauty of the season. Most of the characters were put in uncomfortable situations, and we're just seeing how they react to them. I've always believed the only way we can see growth in people is by putting them in uncomfortable situations, and the writers definitely put their characters through that this season. So like I said, the season is great, but it does have its flaws. It definitely has its flaws, and for one, the comedy. The comedy has like a lot of misses this season. This isn't really a show that I've ever really watched for its comedy. It has entertained me, but the comedy is in this season fucking sucks, man. Like, what is this cliche, corny shit? I mean, just look at this scene.
Daddy, are we getting a new car too?
No, Princess. Our car is just fine.
And it does this several times throughout the season. It's just corny.
I tried to save the company, but we weren't in profit. I scrimped and saved. I cut down on the engine maintenance budget.
And honestly, there was times where the scenes just felt rushed.
Wolverine, I love when you're on your high horse. Saddle up, cowboy.
Like, did you see it? Like, why the did the animation just freeze on Bill like that? Like, did no one see it during the making of this? And a really terrible jokes really bring the season down real badly. Like, a lot of these jokes easily could have been foreshadowed. Like, if they had mentioned these jokes earlier in the season, then it would have been funnier and it would have created more of a reason why you should rewatch it and catch those small foreshadowing details. And I'm starting to realize that Netflix actually has this problem with their other shows by watching other videos on YouTube. So Netflix, if you're watching, don't let it happen to this show. Please don't.
The whole town knows you're screwing your goddamn car.
Come on, I don't think that many people saw that press conference.
Okay. I will give you 10 guesses as to what happens next.
Hey, everybody, it's the car f***er.
The comedy's definitely gotten cheesier. Now, let me not even get started on Goober. This dude just appears way too much for my liking. Matter of fact, he actually reminds you of Burr from 2.5 Men. You guys remember when Charlie Sheen was there? It was literally just one-liners. She never really said too much, but it was perfect. When she did speak, it was on point. As soon as Charlie left though, she started speaking way more and it just didn't hit the same. It wasn't as funny, the charm was basically gone.
I don't believe it. None of my bills have been paid in 4 months. My credit is shot, all my cards are dead.
Well, you don't have to worry about paying me this week, Charlie.
Thank you, Berta.
I'll just take this espresso maker and be on my way. Call me when things pick up.
And that's how I see Goober in this season. After season 1 and 2, it just felt forced. He just got a little bit too much for me and to the point where it's not even funny. But okay, let me be fair. There are some good comedy moments. When we first see Bob Pogo, that really had me dying laughing. I mean, let me refresh your mind.
Oh my God, he melted.
Hello, my dear friends.
Frank shouting outside his hotel arguing with Sue, another good moment. I have to give props to the Rick and Morty S scene where Frank first meets Princess Samantha. This scene reminds me of Rick and Morty scene from season 3 Pickle Rick. And even from a black dude, some of the race jokes did make me laugh, which leads me to my next point. The R's for Rosie episode, I appreciate. Of course, they could have gone much deeper, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And the way the season ended was just great in my opinion. It had a bittersweet ending, but it was done really well in my opinion. And I hope they stick to their guns next season. I hope they let bygones be bygones, and I just kind of hope they don't really bring the dad back. He was a great character, but I feel like he served his purpose. And I just want the writers to challenge themselves even more. Bring new characters in that help push our main characters more. But overall, I think the season was good. Despite its flaws, it was a good season. And yeah, I'd happily watch the season again all over again. So I appreciate you guys watching the video.
That was the last time I spit quick, you know. Now I'm reciting, slowing, chasing the gold. I skipped over treasure in the soul. Now these hollow thick flows ain't reflecting the curves in the road, just curves in the mold of the thighs that I mold. Wait, it's a joke. Can I fantasize about a queen? I ain't been outside in some weeks, collecting my strength, making beats while creepy fuck boys getting weak cause they can't see their mates. Bro had to face the possibility of seeing his dad at a wake, closed casket, no face. I could only imagine all the stress that would take up, wondering if that's his last shift. I'd be broken hearted.